Hi everyone, I'm Marcy and I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, where they're known not just for their history, but for their barbecue. They have some of the best anywhere, and they make a variety of barbecue sauces, including one that sets the gold standard. I'm going to be enjoying some while I'm here, and then when I get back home, I'm going to see if I can make Carolina barbecue in Arizona. So if that sounds good for your summer grilling, hit that subscribe button and let's do this. So much to love in the city of Charleston. From the historic charm of the French Quarter to the picturesque and mostly tranquil gardens at Magnolia Plantation. You can take a stroll along Charleston Harbor or enjoy the shade of a 400-year-old oak tree. How cool is this? And if you ever come to Charleston, you absolutely must have their barbecue. Barbecue is serious business in South Carolina, and there's no shortage of places to try it. Today, I'm heading to Bessinger's, where they've been voted #1 barbecue because of their mustard-based barbecue sauce known as Carolina Gold. It's used for marinating, basting, and dipping, and I'm about to try this beautiful-looking sauce on some pulled pork and pork ribs. Ooh, that looks good. All right, I'm gonna try this now. Oh, it's so good. It's sweet and tangy at the same time. It's delicious. Now I'm gonna dip a rib. Oh my gosh. Wow. I am definitely savoring every bit of this, but let me just say for the record, I'm not eating all this food by myself. My husband is behind the camera making me look bad. At any rate, Carolina barbecue and this gold sauce definitely live up to the hype in my opinion, and I'm looking forward to making this myself. So I'm back home in Arizona now, and before we go any further, let me just remind you that this isn't Pitmasters you're watching. This is just me, your average person, working with what I think is going to be a really great recipe. Now, I know in Carolina, they take barbecue so seriously that if you're not smoking a whole hog, they don't even consider it real barbecue. So if you're one of those people, rather than be insulted by my methods, please take it as a compliment that I even want to try this. Now, I'm going to be making ribs, and to save time, I prepped these yesterday and I let them sit in the refrigerator overnight. But here's how I did that. I first rinsed and dried off the pork spare ribs. Then I removed the membrane because no one wants to chew that. And this part can be a little tricky, so you may want to use some paper towels just to give you something to grip them with. With the membrane off, I made a dry rub. For that, I used 2 tablespoons brown sugar, 1 tablespoon paprika, half a teaspoon cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon garlic powder, 1 tablespoon onion powder, 1 tablespoon ground black pepper, and 2 teaspoons kosher salt. I got it all mixed and then sprinkled the rub on one side of the ribs, kind of pressing it down and getting it well covered. But when I flipped it over, I realized I probably should have used a binder. So I lightly coated the other side with just a little canola oil, and that helped all the seasonings stick to the ribs a little better. With both sides covered, I wrapped the ribs in plastic wrap and put them in the refrigerator overnight. Now I'm going to make the Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and for this you'll need 1 cup plain yellow mustard, 3/4 cup brown sugar, half a cup apple cider vinegar, 1/4 cup honey, 2 tablespoons butter, 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon salt, half a teaspoon ground black pepper, and 1½ teaspoons crushed red pepper flakes. I'm going to start by preheating my saucepan and letting the butter melt in there. I'll then start adding some of the other ingredients and just stir as I go. There's the brown sugar, the honey, salt, pepper, apple cider vinegar, and Worcestershire sauce. I'll give it a good stir. Then I'll put in the yellow mustard, and I'll keep mixing until all those clumps dissolve. And finally, I'll add in the red pepper flakes and let it all come to a boil. Then I'll lower the heat and let it simmer for another 5 to 10 minutes, and that's it. You gotta come over here and see this. It looks so pretty. And smells so good too. Tastes good. All right, but right now I've got to go outside and start cooking those ribs. Ideally, you'd put these on the smoker for a couple of hours, but if you're like me and only have a gas grill, you can still get that smoke flavor by wrapping wood chips tightly in aluminum foil. And you poke holes in that foil and then place it directly over the flame on one side of your grill. You wait till you start seeing smoke like this and for the temperature to reach 275 degrees. Then you can put your ribs on the other side of the grill where they can start to absorb all that smoke flavor and cook slowly in that indirect heat. With the lid covered, I'm going to leave the ribs to smoke for 2 hours and then we'll check back in. Well, it's been 2 hours and now I've got my heavy-duty aluminum foil out. I'm going to be taking the ribs and wrapping them in this, but before I do that, I'm going to put a few pats of butter on top, drizzle with a little honey, and then I'm just going to give it a little spritz with a combination of equal parts apple cider vinegar and water. And that's just going to give it some moisture as well as some additional flavor. I'll wrap it up nice and tightly and back it goes for 2 more hours. Ooh, you see the ribs are coming along nicely. There's still a little smoke coming out there. We have to use a second packet. They last about 45 minutes each, so you may need to do that. But now I'm gonna put these right here. It's been 2 more hours, so now I'm going to take the ribs out of the foil and put them back on the grill to finish cooking. But this time, I'm going to brush on some of this beautiful Carolina Gold BBQ sauce on them. Ooh, look at that. That's beautiful. At this point, I'm going to let the ribs cook unwrapped 1 hour, flipping them over halfway through and adding that Carolina Gold sauce to the other side. Then, for good measure, at the end of that hour, I'm going to place the ribs directly over the flame so the sauce caramelizes a bit on both sides. And this brings the total cooking time to about 5.5 hours. Now that these ribs are done, I let them rest for just a little bit, and now I'm going to cut into them so we can see what they look like on the inside. All right, moment of truth. I'm actually kind of proud of myself right now because I did a pretty good job of duplicating that Carolina Gold BBQ. This is really good, and like I said, I am no expert by any means when it comes to barbecue. So if I can make this, you definitely can, and I hope you do. Thanks so much for checking out this video. The written recipe is in the description box below. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Until next time, blessings from my backyard to yours.